All right, everyone. Thanks for joining again today. So today is going to be an awesome time where we are going to be having Mr. Gabriel, which is the area sales manager. And as the area sales manager, he's going to be taking us on inventory and financial management. So let's wait a little bit while people join the live program. All right, so God's will, I can see you. I can see Alego God's will. From where? God's will, where are you joining from? Where are you joining from? We have God's will joining from Ebony State. Thank you very much for joining. Thank you very much for joining. So, uh, all right, so we have our speaker already on board, Mr. Gabriel. Let me add him to the stream. Good afternoon,
Good
sir.
afternoon. Good afternoon. Glad to be here.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir. How was your day,
Sorry
sir?
for coming a little bit late. Thank God. Bless God. Sorry for coming a little bit late.
No, it's fine, sir. It's fine, sir. It's right on time. So a lot of people are trying to join already. A lot of people are trying to join. All right. So in the next 5 minutes, I'll just hand over to you so that you can start, so that you can finish up early in the next maybe 30 to 45 minutes. Depends on your timing, sir.
Okay, no problem, sir. No problem.
All right. All right. So welcome again. This is Pescademy viewing live, and as we know, we teach students on how to start an aquaculture business successfully by yourself through scholarship courses, virtual trainings, and our upcoming practicals, live practical trainings. So this is our batch two already. And okay, thanks for joining Fidelity. Fidelity, tell us your name. Let us know your name. Fidelity brand, is it Trends TV? Let us know where you are joining from. Okay, you are joining from Edo State. So just tell us your name and where you are joining from. So this is the Batch 2 program where we are having over 400 students taking their scholarship courses at the moment on aquaculture, to get the profitable knowledge they need to start one by themselves. So, all right, we have Mr. Gabriel on board, the area sales manager for Ulam International, and we are really, really glad to have you on board today. So, without wasting much of our time, I'm going to hand over to you now, sir, so that you can
Okay.
start. All right. Thank you very much,
Good
sir.
afternoon. Yeah. Good afternoon, everybody, once again. My name
Good
is
afternoon.
Ogunyade Oluwasebilogo Gabriel. Maybe I will just give a brief introduction of myself. I am a graduate of Marine Biology and Fishery from University of Lagos. I started working in a fish farm in Kaduna, later to Gombe. Then I moved to West Farm, the fourth West Farm. The farm is no more existing now. Then it was the largest recirculatory farm, fish farm in Nigeria. I worked there briefly. Then later I joined Triton Aqua African Limited. very big commercial fish farming before I now joined Olam. I started with Olam as Aqua Technical Executive, later Regional Aqua Technical Manager, but presently I'm the Area Sales Manager, covering the whole of Oyo State. So, to do justice to the topic before me, when you're talking about aquaculture, at the early stage of this industry, most people take it as an hobby, a side hustle. But I can tell you, it is much more than that. It is now that people begin to see it as a business, a bankable business, an international business that can attract foreign investment, which we have started seeing in Nigeria. Like the Triton I talked about that I work with, it's a foreign investment to Nigeria that amounts into millions of dollars in terms of investment. So if you begin to see aquaculture as a business, then we have to have an holistic view of the financial model that we used to run it. So when you're talking about inventory and financial management in aquaculture, it starts from the very inception of the business. When you are getting the site for the business, the kind of system you want to use, your business model, marketability, culture system, everything. You have to be financially cautious of what you are doing. There was a time I was covering Lekki Ekpe Aja for Olam. And at times I go to some farms in Lekki. From mere seeing the farm, you know that this is not a business. Just like a leisure, just a while away time. Why? Because if you consider the value of the land where they are doing the aquaculture practice, you know that there's no way the business can even pay for the fish access. So we have to be very cautious of the financial model we are running. Although there is the trend of city farming, this and that. When you are looking at city farming, you have to be cautious. Is it going to pay? Are you going to get the premium price for what you are producing as extra, at extra cost? So if you're able to tidy up your site selection, then you look at the culture system. Is it going to be recirculatory system? If you are talking about recirculatory system, you have to look at energy budget because it's going to run on energy. And now in Nigeria, we all know what energy is tending towards. It's going upward. Is it diesel you want to talk about? Is it petrol? Whichever way you want to look at it. Even solar, the initial capital in fixing solar is huge. And don't be deceived that once you do solar in the next 25 years, you are not going to do any serious maintenance. It's not true. Because I have seen big commercial farm in Warri, Delta State, that's using solar system, full-time solar system, 2 horsepower solar pumping machine to run the farm. Even at that, I think after 2 years or 3 years, they will have to change 1 or 2 components. So there still be a cost. So you consider the energy and the cost implication before you now decide, okay, this is the system I want to use. Okay, I'm going for a tapoli system, earthen pond, concrete pond. So let's be cautious at the initial stage because there are some caveats we have to bear at the back of our mind. This is bitter truth. You can't sell a farm and make a profit. Have that at the back of your mind. Fish farm is not that if at all, if after constructing, if I'm not feeling like running, I will sell it and make profit. It's not true. If you see anybody selling farm and making profit, it's the land that has appreciated that you are selling and you are making profit. So if you know this at the inception, build something that you are ready to run and make profit from. Because I've seen some farmers saying, after doing the concrete, I want to tie it, I want to paint it, I want to use marine paint, all this paint they are using for cheap. I've met some farmers that are doing that. I was like, this is going to be a waste of money at the end of the day. Because the product you are producing is not going to attract extra value for all you are doing. And even in the case of tiling the inside of the pond and the exterior, it's not even good for the fish because the temperature will be lower, which is not good for the fish, especially during the harmattan. So be cautious of your initial investment in terms of fish access. After that, after you have tidied up that, there's this saying that the running cost 80-70% is going to be on feed. That is true. Feed is very important. And sorry to say, because I'm in the industry now, selling feed is always going up. And there's nothing we can do about that because if you look at the forest, look at cost of raw material, we can't help it. But even at that, there's still some manipulation you can do around feed. So get your feeding right. Get your feeding right because at the end of the day, what is going to determine your margin is what you garbage in. Fish is garbage in, garbage out. If you think you are smart, you are not feeding well, or you compromise on feeding, at the end of the day, you'll be shortchanging yourself. So tidy lot of feeding, but that does not mean you should not engage in wastage. What do I mean by wastage? Wastage in terms of being too extravagant. There are some brand as it is now, based on the prevailing economic situation in Nigeria. You can't caution your fish 100% of them and make margin. That is the truth. They are good. Yes, the feed have responded well to it. We get to sizable, market size on time. Yes, but by the time you do the economy, is it really making sense considering the prevailing market price that you're going to sell your product? So don't be extravagant. Don't engage in wastage in terms of overfeeding, in terms of not managing well. So if you're able to tidy up on that, then you are good to go. But there's this aspect of record keeping that most farmers they don't really understand. And sorry to say this, it's not just farmer, even some bankers, some financial experts, they don't understand the financial management of a fish farm. For example, now there was a man I was helping to manage his farm, consulting for him, helping to manage his workers. Then I was in Ikorodu. Every month, he was telling me the financial outlook of the fish farming, and it will be really negative. Why? We tell you this month I have bought so number of feed. This is the salary that went into the workers that are in that fishery section. This is the energy budget we allocated for the fishery section. At the end of the day, it will be really negative until like maybe after 5 months or 6 months. That is when they were making sales. That you now shoot up, which is not going to be a good financial outlook for any business to attract investment. So there is a way you are going to manage your business that you maintain a good cash flow and you have a good bankable account outlook. How do I mean? For example, if you have a fish facility that can accommodate like 20,000 fish, for example, stocking capacity, it is not advisable to stock the whole 20,000 in a batch. Let's say you are doing melange. Melange production should be about 3 months or thereabout. It is better you segment that your capacity into 3 slots, 3 batches, such that after 3 months of a cycle, you have cash flow coming in. You sell a batch this month, a batch is ready next month, a batch is taken over from there. So there be a cash flow. Cash flow is the major thing that most fish farmers find difficult to establish. By the time you are investing continuously, pumping money, feeding, and you have to wait for 5 months, 6 months, in case of a table size, or 3 months in case of melange, before you have any cash flowing, it might be discouraging. And for those people that are not financially disciplined, after making sales, they believe they are making profit, which in actual sales might not really be profit. So to safeguard against all this, I always encourage you to do batch stocking. And by the time you're able to perfect your batch stocking, all your overhead for a month, your sales for that month should be able to take care of it with profit. Let's say, for example, you stock a batch of 5,000 in tray for melange production, for example. That be 15,000 capacity farm. By the time you are selling, let's say an average of 300 grams for your melange, 300 times 5,000, you are looking at something like 1.5 tons. By the time you are selling that 1.5 tons, you should be able to say, okay, let me say 1.5 tons, your FCR for that production is 1.2. That means you will have consumed something like 1.7 of thereabout of feed. At the end of your sales, you should be able to purchase 1.7 feed for the next batch, which is the batch you are selling. To cover for the batch you are selling, you'll be able to purchase from your sales 1.7 tons of feed. You'll be able to take care of your salary for that month and your energy costs for that month and have your margin. If you are not able to do that, then there's a problem. How do I mean? Especially now that price of feed is not stable, that is fluctuating. Let's say the fish you are selling now, by the time you are buying the feed, then a bag was like 10,000 naira, and you're able to buy, let's say, 120 bags. Now that you are selling the fish, price of a bag of feed has gone to 11,000. At that point, you are selling that feed. If you are not able to buy the quantity of feed that you used to raise that feed, considering the prevailing market price, then there's a problem. What that simply means that by the time you are selling, you might not be able to finance the next production. That is why you have to be cautious And that is why you see a lot of farms downsizing systematically unaware. They might still be stocking the same capacity they are stocking. They will still stock their 5,000, but they are not able to feed up to the standard they were feeding before. And some of them will not be conscious of what has happened to their business. They will not be blaming the feed. That, the feed companies, they have compromised on their feed. The standard of feed has dropped. The standard of fingerlings in market is not okay, which might not be the case. So we must have a grip of our financial outlook. I have met a lot of farmers say, oh, I sold that fish and I make a lot of profit. I say, I'm not saying you are not making a lot of profit, but how profitable is that profit that you make? Let's look at the numbers. And another thing that I've come to realize that most farmers, they don't really cost their cost of production in the real sense of it. The cost of the pond, because it's going to depreciate, you have to allocate a portion of your cost of construction into each batch you are selling in your farm. So at the end of the day, as it stands today now, most farmers will claim that they are making 50% profits, they are making 40%. It's not true. With the prevailing market price of cost of feed, cost of fingerlings, energy cost, and the selling price of fish, the achievable benchmark now is around 20% plus minus 5%, depending on the efficiency of your system and how you're able to establish good market for your product. So at the end of the day, as a farmer, I always encourage you, keep these two records: production record and financial record. Production record will tell you about the efficiency of your system, of your management system. Oh, how are you able to perfect your FCR achievement in your farm? How are you able to maximize your stocking density, water management system? How are you able to do that? It will show you. But in financial record will show you the true financial state of your business, how bankable your business is. And in most cases, if you see it the way most people are presenting their financial book, fish farm financial record, it will not be attractive for external investor to invest in it. Because any investor that want to bring in his money, we have to look at the cash flow. We have to look at the margin. We have to look at, okay, if at all I'm to source this fund from a financial institute, cost of fund, will I still be able to make something out of it? So at the end of the day, if you are not keeping all this record, your business will not be financially okay. And another thing I do tell people, and this is applicable to all agricultural business, there is a benchmark of investment that you need to make in fish farming before you can be thinking of profit. I have told people that care to listen times without number that if you want to stay in a fish farming as a business, you can't stock anything less than 10,000 as it stands today before you can be paying yourself handsomely well to say this is a business I want to sit on to make as a business. All this keeping 1,000 is just leisure. You can't engage anybody as a worker in such a farm. You are keeping 1,000 fishes, 2,000 fishes. It won't be able to give you any margin at the end of the day. Even if the labor you engage is cheap, let's put at 25,000, 30,000, you won't get the best. Those quantities just like homestay, just to keep yourself busy at home, to test from, to gain the knowledge that is required before you launch out big time as a business. Because if you are unable to make an investment up to a level, it might not be profitable enough for you to call it a business. So those are the things we have to look at when we are looking at fish farming as a business. I think maybe I should pause here and get feedback from you if there's anything you want me to talk about again. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, sir. That's been profound so far. So, if you have any question, you can start dropping them in the comment section now. You can see how you have to check the energy level you want to put in. You can see how you have to check which type of system you want to use. You can see how to check, okay, if this is it, how can you cut cost on feed and so on and so forth. So if you have any question at this point, you can start sending it in. Onome, I can see you from Abeokuta, Sherry from Futa. All right, sir. So I don't know if you still have more to tell us But then maybe if you go further, we can just maybe after
Okay,
after your the whole of your presentation, we can just ask you some questions that we've gotten
okay,
down before now.
okay. So let me take you to another level. This
All right,
record
sir.
might not be easily available to most farmer, but I was able to get you at looking at a commercial fish farming. Actually, in a commercial fish farming, there are things that determine your profitability. One, your stocking density. If you are unable to have a full grip of your stocking density, for example, let's say I constructed an netting pond of, let's say, 1 acre size. That is like small lake dam size kind of earthen pond. To construct that kind of earthen pond now will cost you
All right,
nothing
sir.
less than 500,000, 1 million. After constructing such a pond, you now stock 5,000. It's a dead game on arrival. You can't make margin. So you have to manage your stocking density well. Stock to the optimum level of your facility of available resources. So if you get that one right, at the end of the day, there is what we call yield per area per annum. What that means is that after I have spent so money to put on this facility, be it earthen pond, concrete pond, tarpaulin pond, I have sunk borehole, I have put this, and that. Per area, per meter square, because in aquaculture, when you look about spacing, we normally restrain it to area. Why? Why we don't use volume is that volume is assumed in catfish to be 1 meter. What that means is that if at all you construct a pond that is so deep, the bottom line is like a dead zone. It doesn't count much. So if you think you are smart, you are now using volume. Let's say you do 10 by 10 meter. Instead of now doing 1 meter depth, you now do 5 meter depth. Technically, the stocking density will still be the same thing with 10 by 10 by 1, because the extra 4 meter down, fish will not be able to stay there. It will have low oxygen. It will be a nausea zone. So it's not really going to count to your stocking volume. So that's why we use area. So in taking record, in looking at the efficiency of your system, we have what we call yield. That means how many tons, how many kg am I harvesting per meter square per year in this facility. That way, you'll be able to see the efficiency of your system, of your production cycle. And that is the rationale beyond most people now doing melange production. If you look at the economic of melange and table size, it's about the same thing. Let's say, because when you are selling melange, you have better FCR at that stage. By the time they are staying 5 months, 6 months, FCR become tingle weight. You don't naturally, that is normal. As they are aging, FCR become poorer. So by the time you now look at the FCR, although because of the market situation in Nigeria, you get a premium price for table size. For example, if you're buying a kg of melange for 1,000, table size will attract an extra 100 naira, 200 naira, which is a premium, a kind of. But it's going to be negated by the time you look at the FCR and you look at the overhead cost for the extra months you spend in getting them to that size. So just look at what worked for you and be down to the last couple in terms of your calculation. Because there was a time a lot of people said, oh, there's this sizes we call Onitsha size, Eastern size. That is 2 kg, 3 kg, 4 kg for the Eastern market. A lot of people rush into it. They move into hybrid, this and that. But there was a time I was telling to one of them, look, do your economy very well. You might not be doing something fantastic at the end of the day. Because if you are doing that, you can't even do two production in a year. So by the time you do your yield per area per year, your facility might not be giving you the optimum output. So that is another record you need to look at. What is the yield that your facility is giving you per area per annum? That way, you'll be able to manage your system well. Okay, if I stock more, improve on my water quality management, this and that, feeding regime, because that also matters. There was a time, I know maybe most of you know this farm. Shadak is in Ekpe, fully recirculatory system. It's been run by Israeli that time that I was visiting the place. And I was engaging, trying to convince him to use our product. And I told him from the onset, this and this of my product, I'm not recommending it for you. Why? Because it does not fit into his system. If you are using recirculatory system, your energy cost will be high. So you need a feed that will give you result as soon as possible to manage your overhead very well. You can't be doing 6 month, 5 month, 7 month caution period. It's not feasible for recirculatory. You have to get them out on time because that's the beauty of recirculatory. If you are unable to achieve that, then the business is dead on arrival. So those are the things we have to look at. And another thing we need to manage very well is the overhead cost. We are talking about overhead costs, labor, energy, medication. I know in aquaculture, we always silent of medical costs, unlike poultry, that is very critical. But even in aquaculture, we still have to allocate fund for medication. Well, what do I mean by medication? Not necessarily antibiotics, even salts, disinfectant, all the chloroform, chlorine to ensure biosecurity, disinfect our equipment. They are critical. We have to make cost for it. Because the way most people look at it, that fish, they are very hardy, you don't need to do much. Just when we put them, how do you get any disease outbreak? Yes, but we still have to maintain like this salt treatment, very effective. There was a time, I think that was my first farm I will say I manage after graduation. I've not even graduated. One of my classmates, he just did, I think about 6 concrete pond in the house then in Beja. And he told me, because I have had the practical experience to come and help him manage it, that he doesn't want to lose a fish. He doesn't want to lose a single fish. And I said it's possible. Maybe out of my own youth exuberance, I didn't have it. So I said it's possible. And what did I recommend for him? Based on what I've gained during my CWS, where I did my CWS, I say anytime you change the water, which is going to be every other day, apply salt. Apply salt. Don't wait for any, just apply salt. At the end of the day, he achieved it. But what is the cost of the salt that we apply? It's on the high side. But at the end of the day, he achieved it. You might not be applying every day, but in proper salt management, you safeguard your investment in aquaculture if you know how to apply it well. So it's still a cost, medication cost. So we still have to add it as well. So put everything together in analyzing your business. The essence of doing all this is not to scare you away from investing in aquaculture, but to be able to manage your finance and investment better. You have a good outlook of what you are doing, not a kind of, because I met some farmer, I told you I started with Olam as an 80 is more or less like an extension service to farmer. And I will meet this farmer, they will tell me, I'm making profit, I'm making profit. And I begin to ask them one question or the other. At the end of the day, they begin to see that they are not making profit. Because what some of them consider profit is that by the time some of them are still in active service, by the time they are buying the feed, they don't really consider it much. Give them money for 2 bags today, 1 bag tomorrow, this and that. And by the time they are selling in hundreds of thousands. They now say, oh, I'm selling 600,000 worth of fish. But by the time they put everything to pen and paper, 1 bag today, 2 bags today, 3 bags tomorrow, yeah, it's not really profitable. They still have room to improve on their efficiency to make the business better. The essence of keeping all these records is to give you a good outlook of your investment, so you'll be able to manage the system better. You know what to do, what you are doing wrong that you need to improve on, what you are doing right that you need to improve on. So that is the essence. So at the end of the day, you stand a better chance. And when you are looking at feed to use, the easiest thing for everybody to look at is FCR. FCR, FCR. Another thing to look at it, apart from FCR, is caution period. Because by the time you are looking at FCR, put it side by side with your caution period. Because by the time you put caution period, that will give you overhead cost. Because overhead cost will be per unit time, per day, per week, per month. What is your overhead cost? Like water. Water come at a cost. What is the cost of water apart from the cost you have incurred in securing the borehole, doing the well, whichever the case may be? The cost of pumping the water. And in some instances, in some melting pond, you have to pump out and pump in. So you consider all those costs. So at the end of the day, you know whether you are making profit or not. So that is it for now.
Wow. I think I learned a lot from this, and we can see that everything you are using, you have to put it into an account. You have to take a cost of it so that you can know if you are making profit or not. So everything really matters. Even though you are getting your water from maybe from the stream, what of how you get it into your pond? What are the costs? What are what are the outlet structure that you put in place? What are the inlet structure that you put in place? Everything counts as cost. So in inventory management, you must manage those tiny bit of things that it seems not really important, just like our speaker talked about the medication cost, the medical cost. You have to put that into check also. To account for overhead cost, you have to even check for okay water usage and all. So I think that's a very very profound one. So a question now is that for a student that want to start up, what are the things that you can put in place for a student that wants to start up? Maybe to start up as small, you talk about the stocking density, that maybe you have a kind of cost of construction of your pond or your pond system, and you are stocking as low as 5,000 stocking density. That's a very very low way to start, and you can't really account for profitability in that manner if you use construction of up to a millions. But then if for a student, how can a student start managing their inventory from a smaller scale, then growing bit by bit from there?
Okay. Thank you for that question. Sincerely, I don't always encourage students to start with grow-out. If you're an aquaculture student, I will encourage you to start from hatchery management because that is where your skill will be put to test. Personally, the money I made for the first hatchery I did, home steel hatchery, where I was staying, my uncle cousin's place, I just did all this woody tapoli of 18. It's the money that I used for my convocation. I can still remember I sold 27,000. That was 2007. Why will I not advise a student to start with grow-out? Like I said, if you don't make investment to a certain benchmark, profitability will be out of the question. And at that stage, a student will be more like, what is in it for me? Like that my friend I told you about, he has opted out of it since. He has traveled to UK, he's doing another thing, he's not even into aquaculture again. Why? You look at the whole business, it's not attractive enough. It's not something that you can sit on to manage. You understand? So if a student will get into aquaculture, this is what I will advise. Don't look at profit. You have to use whatsoever system you are doing to gain first-hand experience and insight. Like I do tell people, even people that are not into aquaculture as in practice, that they just want to invest. There are some things they will never explain to you in class. And even if they explain to you in class, it will not sink into your mind, into your consciousness until you put your hand in it, until you put your money in it. That is when you understand the way it is. Even if they talk to you verbally about it, they put it in picture and in motion, in video for you to see and watch again and again. You will not get it until you put your money in it and have a first-hand experience of how it works. So a student that is going to aquaculture should have that mindset. And if you are able to learn, between me and you, this business is a viable business that is profitable, that can easily be scalable. What do I mean by scalable? Because there was a man I work with. He told me, I can't see to the business that does not turn out in hundreds of millions. I said, the fish farm can also give you hundreds of millions if you put in such investment in it. So for a student, for example, that 5,000 we made mention of now to construct pond facility and to stock and make 5,000 fish now will cost nothing less than 8-10 million. And for a student, maybe the parent, they're able to source that money for him or her. They will be expecting that he should not be looking for another job again. At least you should be able to launch out as self-employed with that kind of investment. We trust in him. But I'm telling you, if care is not taken, after first, second harvest, he or she might be discouraged because the profit margin that will be coming might not be that attractive. But you will have learned a lot of things that with further a little bit more investment, you will be very, very okay. And what do I say by a little bit investment? For example, a fresh graduate, when I was leaving school then, The trend then was banking job. It's like red made, first class 2-1. Bank will easily absorb you. Even before we finish, we have been writing aptitude tests. Then benchmark salary then was around 250,000 on graduation, entry level, 250,000. So we that we are in fish, we fish farming, give me this money. That was the benchmark then. But I can tell you, as it stands today, you can get that in fish farming. With my interaction with farmers, at least the worst scenario per ton, we still make between 150,000 to 200,000 profit. Worst scenario per ton. So in other words, like how many ton will I need to produce monthly to reach a benchmark that I'll be able to pay myself and feel comfortable as this is a business for me. So any student that is going to the business, don't look at profit per se. Start with it. If it is 1,000 at the backyard, your backyard, and call your dad and mom to help you out with little money, even if it is 500. The most important is that have your record. If you have your record, then you'll be able to be the model of what worked for you and what you can improve on. Like I told you when I started, there are even some of us that did culture with cooking pots. This cooking pot will be able to react inside cooking pot. You siphon dirt out, use hose to put in water because of pressure. There's not even pipe. You fresh water inside a bucket, elevate it a bit, then use hose to siphon the water in to be dropping. They just little things. We might not be making profit per se, but we gain expense that later translates into money for us. So have it at the back of your mind as a student. It's not about profit per se. Not that you not make margin, but don't look at the margin is not as attractive as I was expecting. I'm going to look for banking job, but I'm going to telecom. I don't know which one is raining now. Maybe it's oil company now. That will be attracting students to go into. But I can tell you, we take time to learn the rudiment, to make your mistake and learn from it. This is a business that can sustain you. So that is my advice.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, sir. We appreciate that enlightenment on that. So, one thing is that, as I have written in the comment section, as a student, the advice is to start with archery first, archery management, because of the cost of managing growth at first, and where you will put your practical to test most is the archery, because if you can manage archery well, it's something that you can gain more experience by doing that, and you will use the business to gain first-hand experience at first before now starting to look at profitability. I think that's more explanatory. So last question before you go. So what is the cost of setting up an archery? What is the cost of setting up an archery? What and what will you need? Like maybe what is the most vital thing needed when setting up an archery or going about archery management?
Thank you. Like I do tell people that we are willing to invest in archery. I've seen people that say, I want to invest in fish farming, I want to invest in archery. And I will tell them, no. The truth about it, what defines success in archery management is the expertise, the management skill of the person managing it. I have seen people that put in fantastic structure. Like where I told you I worked before, Triton. You have an archery facility at Lapika in Ikeja. Anything you can think of is there. Thermostat, water heater, fiberglass, base of water treatment, everything. They have it there. But corresponding that to the output is not it. So the major thing in archery management is your skill, your commitment, your passion, ability to learn on the spot. Because the truth about it, there is always peculiarity when it comes to archery. The first place I work in Kaduna, when I moved here, the person that constructed that farm was one that linked me up with the owner. I said, okay, I should just go there, put them through for like 2-3 months, train the attendants on how to feed and all that. Then I come back to Lagos. After I got there, the man persuaded me to stay and help him manage it. Along the line, I said, look, I can't just sit down here like this with grass alone. It's not challenging enough. Let's do archery. I was the one that conceptualize the idea of how I want the hatchery to be. Because I was staying there, I understand the fluctuation in their weather. It can be so extremely hot in the afternoon, and within a tickle of few hours, it become cool again. That sudden change in temperature, like, look, we have to insulate this hatchery. So we are not going to use block, we are going to use brick. It was my decision based on what I was able to understand with my little stay there. And we did that, and we were able to hatch successfully. The same thing I did when I was in Kobe because of that demand of what I've understand. What that means that because I'm able to insulate the hatchery facility with brick, if at all the temperature falls sharply or rise sharply outside, it will be gradually affected in the hatchery. It won't be so sudden. And I did in such a way that even my water tank, I put it inside so that it will not be influenced by the external weather condition so fast. It's by exposure and experience. They might not be able to teach you that in the classroom. That's why I say, based on demand, on the spot demand, you should be able to respond accordingly. So what determines the success level in hatchery management is your personal skill. If you look around, hardly you see any successful hatchery that is being managed by the employee. The owner of the hatchery must be involved, because hatchery is 80-90% skill based. Not that, oh, you're able to put in hatching jar, you have insulator, you have good water treatment plan. Yes, all those things are important. They will enhance your productivity, they will enhance your output. But majorly, you that you are managing, because between me and you, like I told you, I've done a lot of experiment with hatchery, I've done a lot of hatchery. It's consuming. It will not just consume your time, it will consume you as individual. I set watch for feeding, for siphoning, for shaking. Do I need to stop the water? Do I need to run the water? Do I need to lower the water? Do I need to siphon? Should I not siphon? A lot based on the spot assessment of what is going on. So if you are passionate, you are committed enough to break through with hatchery, I can tell you, you will be an instant success when you get to grow out. So hatchery will test every fiber of your technical know-how. If you're able to do it successfully, then you are good to go. And I can tell you, hatchery is such that you continue to improvise, you continue to improve. What worked for you this year might not work for you next year, because factors that determine success in hatchery, they are changing. Your water system that you have perfected, that is giving you good pH, that you are having good hatchery, output, might just turn out, maybe due to fluctuation in weather, new industry are just certain area that polluted the groundwater, one or two things. So you just have to be sensitive to that. Something has changed, and you have to adapt and change along to get the best result for your system. So that is the major thing. Your skill, build your skill, be committed to it, be passionate about it. Like I told you, that farm that I managed in Gombe, initially we are like on salary when I was managing the growth. When you get to the hatchery, I told you can't pay me for hatchery salary. It has to be on commission. And what did we agree on? We say we are going to divide the whole money from the hatchery into three. One part will be for the maintenance of the hatchery, you are buying broodstock, feed, this and that. Then the other part for him, then one part for me. Because that is the only way you can get the commitment of the person that's going to manage the hatchery. The remuneration package must be tied to productivity. You can't get someone to come and manage hatchery for you and pay him salary and get the best out of it. No. Tie it to performance. If I told you there's going to be a salary, put a commission. For every fingerling we say here, you have 2 naira, you have 1 naira, you have 5 naira, as the case may be. That is when you get the best out of hatchery management. Thank you.
Wow, wow, that's very, very, very interesting. So I can see that, yeah, you can see that when we talk about archery, it needs most of your technical know-how. And if you can do best in archery, forget about growth. You are going to manage that effectively. And also, what works for you this year may not work for you next year because of there are some changes that might happen either in water quality or maybe the system that you need to adapt to and use at that moment. You have to improve, you have to improvise, you have to, because of fluctuations might happen in your water quality. And it's something that, though he said it might be time consuming, yes, but then also when we talk about working that's an insight. If you want to work for someone on archery based knowledge, you have to know how to make your pricing. You can talk about commission, because salary may not be giving you that flow of, okay, what my commitment versus my salary, is it really commensurable to each other? No. But then when we talk about getting income from archery management, we can talk about commission based. And he gave us an example that, you know three shares, in the sense that in a three-way sharing, out of the profits being gained, that's one for you, one for the owner of the farm, and one for what, the day-to-day running of the archery, on and on. So that's a lot of insights, and thank you very much, sir, for this profound knowledge you've shared to us today. So if there are no other questions, I believe that is all for today. So, sir, what's your goodwill message? What's your um, encouragement, or what will be your message for people that are listening today, students that are just trying to delve into it today? A summary of your goodwill message, sir.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I must tell you, fish farming is a viable business. I can tell you, if you are passionate about it, if you are committed to it, it's going to pay your bill. I'm not just going to pay your bill. You are going to make it big time. You'll be able to compete with other people from every other sector you might think of. It's a viable business. I can tell you that. And don't look at it like you normally joke with us then when we are in school. I want peja peja. No, it's much more than that. It's a business. And I must be sincere with you. It's one of the fastest growing sector of agriculture now. Because in Nigeria, for instance, we have not even tapped into our potential in aquaculture. So there's avalanche of opportunity if you can equip yourself with the right knowledge, with the right attitude, and with right commitment. It's just a matter of time. I can tell you, a lot of multinational will still come in that we need expertise to help them put things in place. Even yourself, government will still come up with program that you'll be able to key into and make a good earning for yourself. So keep pushing. See it as a business. It's beyond just leisure or side hustle. It's a business that you can, I mean, own up and make it big timing. So that is my word of encouragement for you this evening. And thank you for having me here. It has been my delight to be here to share my little experience with you. And I really appreciate your effort in building in this industry, because there are some people we call gatekeeper. I think you are one of them, holding forth this industry so that we can keep up pushing. Because a lot of people are being discouraged, but we should not discourage, we should not dismay. The sky is our limit. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. I think I love the word being a gatekeeper. Yeah, that really delights me so much. So thank you very much, sir. It's a very, very much privilege to have you. Out of your
Thank you.
schedule, out of your time, you even take out of that to even come and speak with us. We really appreciate you so much. Thank you very much, sir. We honor you. We appreciate you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right.
It's my pleasure.
All
Thank you
right,
so much.
everyone. So you can now follow Pescademy on Instagram, Facebook, our YouTube channel. So we are going to reshare this video after now, so that those that miss from the beginning, you can easily rewatch them. There are a lot of information being passed out today, so you can go back to the YouTube channel to go and rewatch them. Thank you very much. Thanks for joining. Bye. All right.